Good morning! Well, my car's in for service and MOT today, so I'm spending the entire day down in Llandudno. So I thought I'd spend the day and I'll do the Alice in Wonderland trail. I'll also try and climb the Orme as well if I got the time. So I can see the first one over there, the White Rabbit, so let's head over. So you can buy a map for the trail from Tourist Information. I think it costs $1.99, and that shows you where all the different features are along the trail. There's a number of these sculptures, and then there's a couple of other features as well. So I'm only going to be focusing on the sculptures. The sculptures themselves were put in 2012, but last year they went through a bit of an overhaul, so they've all been freshly painted and cleaned up and any of the rot taken off of them, so they're in great condition now. Obviously this is the first one I found, which is the White Rabbit, along with his pocket watch there. So yeah, I think I'm halfway around the trail already, but doesn't matter, I know where they all are, so I'm going to try and find all of them today. So next one is the Mad Hatter, which is off this way. So this brings you down to the seafront, but what way now? Well, all you got to do is follow the White Rabbit, and the footprints go this way, so let's head off this way. And there's the Mad Hatter, ready with his teapot. Got a mouse, that's a big mouse. Carry on down this way. I think we're heading off to Happy Valley now. Oh, go on, as we're passing, let's take a walk down the pier. Although I'm not actually sure where the pier starts. I believe it's the longest in the UK. But shops start here, so you'd think this is the start. But the gates are here, so technically that could be the start. Then the timber section doesn't start until here. And I think the pier might be closed today. Okay, didn't have to wait long, they've opened up. So like I was saying, technically I'm still on land here. The pier itself, I would say, doesn't really start until here. This is the only bit that's freestanding. But you've got to walk along a pier, because it's there. So I'd say I'm about halfway along the pier, because you've got their second entrance there, and they're currently in the process of repairing all the decking here, because the framework underneath was all completely rotten. So that had been shut for years, but it should soon be reopening, which will be good. And of course they've also got their shelter there, which suffered some storm damage over the winter, in as much as the entire thing blew off its foundations and landed on its side. So hopefully they'll be restoring that at some point as well. So off to the side here we've got the Great Orme. That was made thousands of years ago when the tectonic plates pushed things together. You can see how the ground's just folded. Absolutely fascinating to look at. And then of course you've got Happy Valley Park just there, so that's where we're going to be heading in a minute. Got the base end of the cable car, it goes up to the top of the Orme. I'm not sure if that'll be running today or not. There's no wind, so it might be. But I've got to make it to the end of the pier. You can't walk halfway, you've got to walk to the very end, haven't you? So we're coming down to the end here. It does look incredibly grand. It seems strange to think the majority of this was actually built as a ferry terminal. So if you look on the side of the toilets here, it's got all old photos and information, tells you about what everything was. The thing that I think is most interesting is these buildings here have a weird flat roof to them. And in the past you used to be able to stand on them looking at one of those photos. So yeah. Well, we'll take a walk around the building and then I think we'll head back. We've got the bandstand here at the end of the pier, but then is this the end of the pier? Because then technically there's a bridge onto that section, and that is part of the pier, because that's what the ferry boats used to tie up to. So technically that could be the end of the pier. But I think this is as far as I can go anyway. Alright, let's head back and carry on with the Alice in Wonderland trail. There's impressive scenery. I'm a little concerned about those dark clouds. Weather forecast said it was dry today, so I haven't brought a wet coat. Well, that's one cable car going up. Looks promising. So if you're heading straight up to the cable car, there is a bit of a shortcut that takes you up there, which is quite interesting. But I'm heading to the gardens first, so I'm going to head up this road here, opposite the Grand Hotel. There's a little road that dives up to the side. Now there is this concrete walkway that goes all the way up. Now normally I'd walk up there on the top deck, but it appears they're doing work to it, which is nice, because it could do with a bit of restoration. So let's all go up there. Seems to be doing quite a lot to that. That's the other entrance to the pier down there. So I'm walking on the upper road up here now. Now it's a shame that so many bits are closed off because they're working on it, but at the same time it's nice to see somebody investing in the place and improving things. So I'll look forward to walking on that next year when it's all fixed. Yeah, looks like they've got a fair few repairs to do. So welcome to Happy Valley Gardens. So we've got our bandstand here, they're playing cards. Mad Hatter up there. Didn't think he was up there before, he must be new. And then is Axolum, the caterpillar on the top there. Now there used to be, up in this section here, the Mad Hatter's Tea Party and Kings and Queens seats. Unfortunately in 2019 I think it was, there was a bad storm come through. That used to be a little pine forest and it blew like 80% of the trees over. So a lot of it got damaged. So that's all still fenced off. But last year they reinstated some of the bits. So there's bits that were okay from up there, they moved down and you can now access them. And there's other bits that they've had to completely reconstruct. So this is one of their new ones, the Mad Hatter's Tea Party, complete with teapot with mouse. It's a lot better size, but it's still a very big mouse. And then just down here we've got a little doorway. There we go. I believe this is supposed to represent where Alice fell down the rabbit hole and then had to go through the small door at the bottom. I think. This was one of the original ones that was up over there, and they've moved it down to here now so you can actually see it, which is good. And then there's also a couple more in here. So here we've got the Kings and Queens thrones. So if you want you can sit in them, pretend you're royalty, and you own all that you survey. And up here we've got the teacher's chair. So unfortunately it doesn't say Caterpillar's name. I'm sure it's Oxfam or something like that. I'm going to be irritating people if I'm getting it wrong. But yeah, so you got that, and then you got the little stools to sit on. That's quite fun. And then down there is a very interesting one that I haven't seen before. Well, that's the rabbit hole. I haven't seen this one before. And you can follow the white rabbit inside if you want. I'm not going to try it, I'll end up stuck like Winnie the Pooh. It's terrible looking at stuff like this. It gives you fantastic inspiration for sheds in your garden. No, that's way beyond my capabilities. Of course, the Alice Trail is fantastic, but there's another reason for being here, and that is because it is Happy Valley Gardens. Now you might be thinking, it doesn't look like gardens, it looks like a field with a stone circle in the middle. Well, this used to be a quarry at some point in its past, and it was given over to the council, I believe, so that they could turn it into gardens. And when the Victorians had their hands on it, they did what they did best, and they've done a fantastic garden up there. Again, it fell into disrepair at one point, and it has been restored slightly. But we'll take a walk up because there is still some fantastic gardens up here, and they're completely free to enter. Now we have to bear in mind that this is the autumn. None of this is watered over the summer. It's still looking quite good. There's just a series of paths that weave their way up. They've got their pond here, and they might even have their waterfall flowing. That is turned off at the moment, but that was restored last year. So They've got a waterfall back there, goes into the pond here, down to the lower pond. And if you make it all the way up to the top here, there's actually a Llandudno arch. So it's not quite as impressive as the one at Bodmin Gardens, but like I say, it's free to get into. Here we go, that's a Llandudno. Yeah, one of those. Llandudno arch there. I'm going to have to take a break. It's incredibly steep coming up here though. There we go. Now obviously it's the wrong time of year for the flowers. The flowers are in spring. But it still makes a lovely sheltered walkway. Goes around the corner here. So that's only a quick glimpse. You can spend ages wandering around in there. And if you do make it up as far as the Llandudno Arch and you're feeling really adventurous, you can take this little path here and go in search of Elephant Cave. So that's what I'm going to do. So this is Elephant Cave. Not as easy to see with the amount of vegetation around it. I think it was a lot easier to see when it was first named. But apparently they mined some of the material out of here and obviously had to leave columns in place to support the roof. That's left this fantastic chasm here. And there was talk in World War II of using it as a sort of emergency shelter. And it could fit so many thousands of people in it, so it is really quite large. Let's have a look inside. Well, this isn't really an angle of an elephant I've seen before, and it's not one I'd really want to experience in real life. But it's certainly interesting. I just love seeing all the ferns and bits growing to the sides as well. Now obviously this isn't an official path coming through here, so it's not maintained. So use it at your own risk, shall I say. Right, let's get back. Right. Well, I'm going to head down now. I can hear the cable car running. I've seen 3 cars go off on it. So I'm going to go and see if it's open to the public today. And that's over that way. Well, they're not open yet, but hopefully they'll be opening soon. I thought while I'm here, I'll just talk about this building here. So this used to be an open-air theatre. So you've got all this sloped grass bank at the back here. It's a bit like an amphitheatre. The idea was you'd sit along here and you watch plays at the building there. It's now been turned into a cafe, so it is still being used. Unfortunately, they don't put performances on here anymore. I try and walk to the very top of the Great Orme. So I did used to walk all the way up, but in recent years I've decided that the cable car is a better option. So if the weather's good and the cable car's running, then I do like to take the cable car. I love the fact that it just silently glides over the top of everything. You get to see things like the ski centre there. You wouldn't know it was there if you didn't go on the cable car. It's lovely and silent all the way up. The only noise of it is as you go over the poles that hold it up. Other than that, just silently gliding. It's fantastic. Up to a pole. There's a great horn goat there. Because I live somewhere in those mountains over there. All the way up in one go. There's a tram now. Of course that was fun, but I said I was going to climb to the top of the Orme, so I suppose I should. There we go, Great Orme, 679 feet above sea level. That would have been quite a walk. Of course, technically that isn't the top. The trigonometry point is always put on the very top. So this will be the very top of the Orme. Yeah, fantastic view. And of course, while you're up here, it is worth popping into the building here to see their UFO room. So, see if that's open. Last time I was up here, they were painting it. That's a shame. It's all closed off still. Not sure why. So apparently it was closed because of COVID in 2020 and it's just never been reopened. So that's a shame. Oh well, let's see what the visitor centre's got to offer. Buttons. Well, I've had fun playing in the visitor centre, but I think it's about time I headed back down now. So I'm going to walk all the way back down. Now, I'm hoping to do the zigzag path. Unfortunately, I haven't got a map with me, and I can't quite remember because I normally walk up the zigzag path, not down the zigzag path. It's not too much of a problem. There is a road that goes all the way around the Orme, so if I get lost, I just head out towards the sea. I find the road. I can't get too lost. It just means it's a longer walk. But I'm hoping if I go up over this ridge here, then I'll find the path I need. Well, there's the trail post to town. At least I'm heading the right direction, even if it's not the right path. So it says to town, straight on. Okay, yep, I can see the next way marker over there, and there's a path going through. It's a little bit difficult as to the bit between here and there. I'm not quite sure how this goes. Like I say, they call it the zigzag path. I'm guessing I got to start zigging and zagging. Hello sheep. You look very fluffy up here. To town. That way. Town. That way. Okay, that's what it says. I'm not completely stupid. I do know where this path goes, and I know it double backs on itself a couple of times. Like I say, zigzag path. More of the Great Orme goats there. Got some fantastic beards on them. I just feel like any minute you're just going to walk off a cliff here. This is still the path. I know it goes this way. Of course, that way is off a cliff. The path goes this way. So that's where I've just come from. I've got to this bit here, and it looks like the path goes round the corner and off over that way. I can see just in the distance there's a way marker. So the way marker, you go over to there, and then you go on that path lower down there. So it seems a bit pointless because they both end up in the same place, but I am actually going to use the proper path, the lower path. They've obviously wanted you to go that way for some reason, so that's obviously, in theory, easier. There we go. To town. Back this way. Can't see the town now, it's behind the hill. We're back to another bit where it's confusing. So I can see a grassy path going down that way. I can see a dirt path going off that way. I can see some people walking with a pink jacket over there. But I can see right over there, there's a wooden post with a marker on it. So that's where I think I'm heading. The one behind me does point in this direction. I think people stopped using it and went round that way because they didn't like the idea of walking through the gorse here. Which I can't blame them, it is prickly. But if that's where the path goes, that's where the path goes. I think it actually looks worse than it is. There's plenty of space going through the bushes. So I thought I'd stop and appreciate the view for a bit. You can see the boat and pond down there. We'll be down to that in a little while. I can see a trail marker down there. The next trail marker on the path here does point you down in that direction. So, yep. Back to going zigzag. We've actually got some steps this time. It just keeps going. Zig, zag, zig, zag, zig. Oh, not got far to go. I'm aiming down where those benches are, roughly. There we go. Great Orme, zigzag path, 2 miles. So the path brings you down here. We join up with the Alice in Wonderland trail. Now, I couldn't carry on that way, which is the way the trail goes, but I'm going to go back this way because there's actually a couple of characters that we missed. So we've got to go back this way. So if you follow the path along, it brings you to this gate here, which is another set of gardens. So again, they're free to enter. Now, there's multiple levels to this garden, as you can see. It goes up through the top there. The top sections are kept as woodland now, but the lower sections are still gardened. So, yeah. And there should be a couple of characters right in the middle of here. So there we go, there's the 2 characters. We got Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Of course, you can tell which one's which. If you look on their collars, it does say D and Dum. So that's Dum and that's D. They're jolly looking fellows, aren't they? Right, so let's go back and carry on with the Alice in Wonderland trail, which heads off in this direction again. And I'm trying to think of where it brings us down. I believe it brings us down to where the writer's house used to be. Oh look, another zigzag. So this is where the path brings you down. So this is Llandudno West Shore. You can just about make out Conway Castle right over in the distance over there. But you've got this section here, so it looks a bit like a building site. And that's because technically it is. So there used to be a house here. I never can remember. I can't remember if the persons who wrote the Alice in Wonderland book stayed there or lived there as a child or quite what. But yeah, basically somebody brought it and somebody tried getting it listed, I believe, and they knocked it down before it could get listed, and then it's just sat there empty ever since. So somebody owns a very expensive plot of land there with a lot of rubble on. But if you look up the hillside up there, you can see a little cave. They say that that is supposed to be the rabbit hole. And then right down the far side over there, there's 2 rocks sticking up out of the water, and that's supposed to be the carpenter and the walrus. And it's quite nice because it's at low tide at the moment, so you can actually see them. When the tide comes in, it'll completely cover those. So while I'm here, I thought I'd have a quick look at the beach. But to be honest, it's quite nice to look at the sand dunes here. Well, you know you're in Wales. There's a sheep on the beach. Why wouldn't there be a sheep on the beach? Nice. Now I was hoping to carry on walking around the Orme there, because if you carry on the road on this side and take a turning off to the side, there is an old World War II training base there, and there's still a couple of standing buildings that you can get into, and they have a fantastic view across over the water here. Unfortunately, the garage has phoned and told me that my car has failed its MOT, and they aren't insured to do the repair, so I'm going to have to head back and find somebody else who can do the repair. But I'm going to carry on with the Alice in Wonderland trail, because I've got to walk back that way. But it would have been nice to spend a bit more time here relaxing, but never mind. So back to walking. So I'm just coming round by the side of the boating pond here. So this is actually a freshwater pond. It's fed from a stream from the Orme, but over winter they actually drain this down because, as you can see from the piles of sand over there, when the wind blows, it blows all the sand up from the beach on the other side, up over the wall and into the pond here. So over winter it will be drained down, and then in the spring they come through, dig all the sand out and fill it back up again. So yeah, it's nice seeing it with some water in. I'm heading off over that way. I can just about make him out from here. I can see the Cheshire Cat. There we go, Cheshire Cat. Big grin, piercing green eyes. And over on the roundabout over there, there's a memorial to the writer as well. Now, if we head down this way, I think it's Queen of Hearts we come across next. This walk is longer than I remember. There we go. See the Red Queen or the Queen of Hearts? Let's stand on the other side. Better to view from the other side. There we go, that is the Queen of Hearts. Right, it's quite a mouth on her. You can almost hear her shouting from here. Right, we're on to the last one. So the last one, I believe, is Alice herself. And she is opposite the station. So I'm going to take this road here. There we go, last one. So this is Alice. She looks quite scary, Alice. I believe she's supposed to be upset because she's the wrong size after drinking drinks or eating the cake to fit through the door. And that's the tiny little doorway behind her. Oh well. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video as something slightly different. If you are in Llandudno, do check out the Alice in Wonderland trail, because if you buy the map, there's a lot more points of information on that. And at the bottom of the statues, there's also little bits of information there as well. So it's worth doing the trail yourself. So obviously I really want to be in my woodland at home, but because of the car I've had to spend the day in Llandudno, which isn't a bad thing. But yeah, hopefully the next video will be my woodland. If not, we'll be going and finding the World War II bits on the Orme. So yeah, I hope you've left this video a like, and I shall see you later.